Sometimes used parts you get away with it, sometimes you don't. This time we didn't.
Right, if you didn't see the last video, but you probably did if you're here, we had a failure of a cam. You could see some odd behaviors. Some of these, the little white dots that you see are not spinning, and those push rods should be spinning. You should just see the little white dot go around and around and around like it's doing there, but they should all be doing that, and only about half of them were. So we had to pull the engine and remove the camshaft. What we're going to talk about today is what we found, and oh, there's a nice spinner right there by your head. So we're going to talk about what we found and hopefully get a look at the results of what we did.
This is crazy. We got sirens and we got cold and we got me in the wrong camera. Okay, so what are we gonna do? I'm gonna just stand in this and say what I'm doing.
Pretend like you're doing something.
Pretend like I'm actually doing the work. See, you trying to make them spin, but Kim's actually doing this job. But this slant 6 is coming out again, so we can see. I'm pretending I'm lifting it up. It's coming out, so we can put the camshaft in it, pull the head off, put new springs on it, and then we'll put it back in. The interface between the cam and the lifters is what makes them spin, and that's a requirement, and they're not doing it. So
yep, and we're going to get to talk about that.
When that happens, you're going to wipe the cam out.
Pretty close to correct lash setting, so it had nothing to do with the valve lash setting.
And it's one of these deals where, you know, why do it right when you can do it twice?
This here is the cam that came out of the other motor that we never...
I didn't know you wanted the fly swatter in it.
Can you see okay? I can't see.
I don't know what's good. Hang on. I'm multitasking here. Okay, what we got here is the camshaft out of the original Slant 6, the 1966 engine that we assume was the original engine. Got a lot of miles on it. But what we're showing here is the wear pattern on the original camshaft. And Kim, you want to talk about you can probably explain the wear pattern better than I can.
This is an example of a cam that was spinning the lifters. You can see the wear pattern is mostly to one side, and it makes kind of a weird distinctive sort of triangle as it goes up and over and then back down the other side. But most of the wear is on my side. And we go the same thing on the next lifter over. And this is what you're going to see. The lifters that I pulled out of that engine were pretty well flat. They were well worn. You can see some pitting in the cam. It looks like maybe they weren't using adequate zinc additives in the oil, or maybe it's just from a lot of wear. But that's kind of what you'd expect to see from what we've researched, because I'm not a cam expert.
Let's talk about this for a second. The reason the wear is on one side is because one side of the cam is slightly smaller than the other side of the cam. And that way the lifters are intended to wear on one side, but that's why they spin. That's why the lifters spin. And then it's like a bearing, not like just a thing rubbing on there and it just wipes it out.
Some of them were wearing harder than others. That could be dependent on how much oil, like that one. See how it's shiny the whole way across. But on the back side, it looks like it still has some taper. So I don't know. This is what I learned they're supposed to look like. After we ran into the problem with the other cam, we circled back and we said, well, what's the other cam look like? New lifters, you might expect this to still spin the lifters, because there's obviously some taper on the base circle, but it might not, it might have some flatness to the maximum lift. It might not really have its full lift, or they might be a little bit uneven because there is quite a bit of wear on that cam. So this is the cam that we pulled out of the short block that was not spinning the lifters.
Yeah, you can see it looks like it didn't have any taper in it because the wear is right down the middle. These lifters weren't spinning, or likely they weren't spinning.
Some of them were. About half of them were.
Well, okay, but these ones weren't.
Yeah. No, these ones at the back of the motor were just... kind of just sitting there. They were going up and down fine, but also there was some mysterious wear patterns on the lifters. The crowns were kind of worn off of them, even though there was not a lot of mileage on that engine. And you could see it looks like heavy wear on the top part of that lobe.
And that should be worn off on the side where Kim's sitting. Obviously, it's not.
This is a pretty good example. You can see how different this looks than the properly wearing cam. And you see that even with not very much wear, the wear pattern kind of goes the whole way across the lobe. That one's a little bit to one side, but this one, look, it goes right up the middle. We're kind of right over the middle. And you can even see it, like it's a little bit triangular. It's almost as if it wore the crown off the middle of the lifter. It should be wearing mostly on my side of the lobe, but it's wearing right down the middle or maybe some to your side. So that lifter might have even been trying to spin backwards. Here's another one. It's right down the middle. You know, we don't know where this cam came from. It was in the motor. It's an unmarked cam. There's no markings of who manufactured it. So buyer beware. If you don't know what you're getting, then you don't know what you're getting. And that there's cams like this out there on the market, used cams or new olds. You know, I don't know how old this was. This was not a recent rebuild. This might have been 15, 20 years old of a rebuild from how dirty that motor was. The wear patterns on this don't really make any sense. Now that one might have been spinning. You see how it kind of goes to one side?
A little.
Yeah, that one might have been one of those spinners because there was a couple that spun real nice. And that one even maybe looks like it's wearing to one side a little bit like it should as well. They're not even all flat. It's sort of a mixed bag. It's wearing all the way across. That one a little bit to one side. I don't know. I hate even looking at it. It's just like...
That was a lot of work to fix that.
But I took the lifters out because when I was flipping the motor over to pull the pistons out, I didn't want them to fall out and get disorganized. So I know they went back in the same bores. It wasn't going to matter. And there was a part of me that wanted to try and put new lifters on this cam and see if that helped. But I'm glad we didn't waste our time because I don't think it would have helped. You know, from the wear patterns on these lobes, it just doesn't look like there's any taper to spin on.
You remember we had the cam problem, so Kim ordered a cam.
Yeah, on the 66 Dart here.
Kim ordered a cam right away from Rock Auto, and here it is, New Year's Day. It showed up on New Year's Day, so you can't complain about the service. But here's the box. I'm gonna try to cut the tape. She thinks this box is a bit. Look at this. It's kind of beat up. There's something heavy down here. Oh, it's probably the lifters, huh?
Yeah.
Probably something like this. In Spanish. In French. In English. Camshaft braking procedures for flat tappet camshafts. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it tells you the lubes to use and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so there it is.
Like if you're gonna
I'm kind of struggling with this thing.
I know, but
here's the lube, or something. Yeah, it says lube. And this, every one of them's in a box, so I don't want to spill all the little lifters out. Not even gonna open them all, but we have a bunch of lifters and we have a camshaft. And today's New Year's Day. It came on January 1st. Didn't expect deliveries then.
It really seems like it should have been packaged a little better. We're gonna have to make sure it hasn't been damaged or anything.
Yeah. And Kim's inspecting. Oh, wait a minute. I got this thing backwards. This stupid camera.
It's already got rust.
It's got rust on it already.
Sir, just surface rust. I'm sure that'll polish up.
Yeah, but
But what's that?
I don't know.
That's where it's wearing in the box.
I don't know.
That sucks.
How's the distributor drive gear look?
Looks flawless. I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Very good. I don't know, the rest of it looks good. I mean, those are minor flaws. I'm not thrilled, but I mean, okay. It's never been run, and looks. I don't know. We'll have to do some measurements to check the machining, if we even decide to use it.
On the base circle there, we're looking for about 0.003 difference from one side to the other. And that's about what this one had. They're off by 0.5 one way or the other, but so you're looking at 1.5 thousandths per side, because that's, you know, with a micrometer you're measuring both sides.
Yeah. So we measured them all, so that gave us confidence that the machining was done properly, and that with fresh lifters, that also showed the appropriate amount of crown on the lifters. There was no reason that we shouldn't have good luck with a setup like this. So we're happy that we got our Melling cam through Rock Auto, and it came pretty quick. And the set with tax and shipping was about $300, which was actually the most expensive part of our engine refresh. Yeah.
And I was sitting there checking those lifters. So I checked 2 of them, and she'd installed 2, and I checked 2. And
so that purple goop is the Melling assembly lube that came with the kit. And as we put the lifter in the bore, I'm using just some regular motor oil, and I'm filling behind it so that it slips in. And then as it falls into its lifter bore, I'm going to fill the well that's created there with oil, so that it is ready to go. Fully pre-lubed for break-in, so there's no delay in lubrication.
And you said going in there they felt real good. They didn't feel like they were sticking.
Did you see how nice it just
that
popped
one,
up and down?
That one sure did. Okay.
And they were all like that.
Here we go.
So here's an example. Someone said, well, you could tell by just spinning that cam if they're gonna spin on the cam, but with no resistance pushing them down.
What are the white things? You put some kind of white thing.
What I did is I just stuck a little piece of tape down in there, so that if the lifter spun, you would visually really be able to see the change in angle of that piece of paper. Because those silver lifters down in there with the glare of the lights, they're kind of hard to read. They could be spinning and you might not know it. They really didn't noticeably spin. And we kind of thought it's just because there's thick assembly lube in the bores, keeping them from returning really fast. And there's lube all over the cam. So just not a lot of traction to get them spinning. And I took a push rod and pushed it down while we spun. We could perceive that the lifter, when it had tension against the cam, was trying to spin. And we had checked the lifters for crown and checked the cam for taper. So we knew that all the best things were in place to see good results. So we decided to put the motor together. That's it for our talking over the video part of this, and we're going to show you the assembly, a little bit of the assembly and installation, and then we are going to show you real briefly what it looks like when everything functions the way it should.
Tell them to enjoy the video.
Yeah, tell them.
Enjoy the video.
Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of the video.
Ah, shit. There goes the lube on the floor. It went under the... I can hear the comments right now. Shouldn't have touched it with your fingers.
I know, you're ruining it.
Same.
This thing's hard to squeeze.
Yeah, it's because it's so cold.
Okay, man, you got goo all over this. I got my friends out there. Have to get a hold. There's a guy in Ohio that I know real well, and his daughter. He says mung bean stuff. There always gonna be traces of that stuff. The engine's levitating on its own. Dean says it's after 6 a.m., Kim. Have to book a flight plan. Oh, look at this. Just going in with the engine. You want help with that, or are you okay with it?
So far, I'm doing okay.
Yeah, when we put it in, I helped her put it in because it automatically. Whoa.
It's okay. It's okay.
The transmission was attached to it. It was really tilted back to get it in. But this is like straight down. We're about ready to start this thing up. First start. It'll be a break-in on the cam. So once we get it started, if everything goes right, it should. We'll get a good 20-minute run on that cam. We got to make sure all the lifters are turning. We can see the push rods are marked, so we'll be able to see if they're turning. So that's a real one of these things that really needs to be checked.
We got to see if the lifters are spinning now.
Tell me when you're ready.
Go ahead, I'm ready.
Everybody knows we've got the engine installed, got it running. We've got put the 20-minute run on it, 2,000 RPM with the break-in oil. Yeah, thank you. Break-in oil, which has probably got some more zinc than normal.
It says high zinc.
Oh, it says high zinc right on it. So then did a preliminary valve adjustment, and all the push rods are turning. We're gonna show you that the push rods are turning, which means the lifters are turning, which means they're not gonna wear out immediately on the cam.
All right, we fixed the part with the fan. It was the harmonic dampener was not all the way on, so we used a big bolt right there. We crawled under, we got it on. Now he's gonna start it, and we're gonna take a look at the push rods.
Say when.
When?
Sounds good, but the idle's too low. I've got to keep my foot on the gas. If I do this, it might be just because it's cold, but I can feel it's like idling too slow.
Okay, we'll set the idle.
Okay. The engine runs great. This is ready to go.
We learned a lot about cam and wear patterns and lifters.
So we put a new cam in. So we learned a lot. We tried to share that all with you because maybe somebody can gain something from our mistakes.
It was a great success to have the engine put back together and hopefully ready for many more miles of service. You start whenever you want.
Just turn it on. You got me by surprise.